Hello. I am James, and I live in Manchester in the UK. And you're listening to English with a Brew, a podcast where I talk about different day-to-day topics to help you learn English the most natural way possible. And that is only by listening to it. And if you want to support this podcast, read transcripts, and get exclusive access to more episodes, go to patreon.com/English with a Brew. As we say in Manchester, get a brew on, and let's get started. Recently, I went to a wedding, and I had an amazing time. And so that's what this episode today is going to be all about. Weddings. But first, what is a wedding? You might already know, but a wedding is a special event where two people that love each other a lot get married. And when they get married, they devote the rest of their lives to each other. It's a big and beautiful, one of the most big and beautiful commitments that we can make in our lives. And to go to a wedding, first you need to receive an invitation. Some weddings are quite religious and happen or take place in a church or another religious place. It depends on the religion. Others are not so religious and can happen almost anywhere, outside, on a beach, in a hotel, or some other kind of venue. But what makes a wedding? What are the main things that you need to get married, or the things that happen during the day? Well, every wedding is a little different. But I guess when I think about a typical wedding, the first thing I think about is the wedding dress that the bride wears. Usually they are white and long and very pretty with lots of detail. And sometimes the bride wears a veil that covers their face. And the groom usually wears a suit. Sometimes with a tie and dress shoes. The men look very smart and formal. There's a phrase, the wedding party, and it's not that kind of party, but the wedding party refers to all of the people that are important to the wedding and close to the bride and the groom. Usually family and friends. For example, there are bridesmaids. Sometimes they are the friends and family of the bride. And the groom has a best man, the man most close to them. And of course, it's important to mention that not all weddings are between a man and a woman. In the UK, homosexual marriages, or marriages between two people of the same gender, is legal. And in the year 2020 or 2020, 3.3% of all marriages in the UK were homosexual marriages. So there can be two brides or two grooms. One other thing that usually happens during a wedding, during the ceremony, is they give wedding rings to each other. And you hope that the wedding rings fit on their fingers. And they often tell each other vows. They express their love for each other with words. Sometimes they use traditional vows, and sometimes people write their own vows. And at the end of the ceremony, the happy couple This is a casual way to describe the couple that is getting married, the happy couple, kiss each other. And if it's a man and a woman, they become husband and wife. After the ceremony, there's usually a big party called a wedding reception. And at the wedding reception, there's music, dancing, and food and drinks. And sometimes, most of the time during the reception, some people do a speech. It's most common for the father of the bride and the groom and the best man to make speeches. Sometimes the speeches are a little funny. They tell nice and fun stories about the new husband and wife, and they thank all of the guests for coming to the wedding. And of course, I cannot forget the wedding cake. Wedding cakes are tall and usually have lots of layers. The bride and groom cut the wedding cake, and then everyone gets to eat it. After the wedding reception, traditionally, the new husband and wife go on a honeymoon, a holiday, but specifically for new married couples. In movies and in TV shows, they always seem to go immediately. But I'm not sure if that actually happens in real life, to be honest. I love weddings. They're fun and romantic. There is no one way, no correct way to get married. There's no correct wedding. And I think that every wedding is perfect if it is the wedding that the happy couple always wanted, if it is something meaningful to them. So, what is your perfect wedding? Do you want to get married in the future? Or are you already married? If you're not already married, do you want a big wedding or something smaller? Something a little more intimate, maybe? I'm interested to know, so tell me in the comments or send me a voice message using the link in the description of this episode. See you later. And that's everything for today's episode of English with a Brew. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if you did or if you didn't, and tell me which topics you'd like to hear me talk about in future episodes. And don't forget, you can read the transcript for this episode and get access to more exclusive content over on my Patreon page. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day, morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever time it is where you are right now. Take care.